Welcome to the Women in Technology June 2016 meeting. I'm Kathy Kellenberger, and I'll be hosting the meeting today. Before we get started, I would like to tell you about some of the past community news, some of the things that are going on. The big thing coming up is the PASS Summit at the end of October. If you are thinking about going and you have not yet registered, please use our chapter discount code to get $150 off. I'll leave that up for a second and let you write that down. PASS has dozens of virtual chapters to choose from. I'm not going to go through these. One of the cool things is they have some in different languages because we are a global organization, as well as different subjects. So there's something for everyone with the PASS virtual chapters. I'd like to point out the webinars that we have coming up. We list all of our webinars on our website, wit.sequelpass.org, and here's some upcoming ones, including the one we're doing today, From Entry Level to Tech Guru. And there's also quite a few SQL Saturdays coming up in June. For example, this weekend, Iowa City, I'll actually be speaking in Iowa City this weekend. I hope to see some of you there. And PASS has a number of volunteer opportunities. PASS is a nonprofit organization, and it depends on a lot of volunteer help, from running chapters to helping with the program committee to helping on-site at PASS. So be sure to check it out if you're interested in helping. Today's session is titled From Entry Level to Tech Guru, and it tells the story of a lady that I actually knew before all these great things started happening for her, known her for about a dozen years. Her name's LaShana Lewis, and she's a systems engineer for MasterCard. She found her job at MasterCard through its partnership with LaunchCode, an organization that pairs people aiming to work in technology with top-level employers, and I'm also a volunteer with that organization. Lewis is a role model for diversity in the technology community and has met with President Barack Obama as part of the nationwide Tech Hire initiative. Lewis is a lover of science fiction and an avid latte drinker. I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to LaShana. Oh, before LaShana gets started, one thing. Go ahead and type your questions in the question box, and we'll handle them at the end of the presentation.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. I asked for patience as this is my very first webinar. Kathy is great. She was a great coworker and a great launch coder. Today I'm going to talk about a little bit about my journey. One of the things that I kind of want to put up front was I was always a lover of innovation and technology, even as a kid. And one of the awesome things that I was able to do is to use some of that, even here at MasterCard, to actually finish and complete a patent. So I'm happy about that. That just was submitted, and I wanted to share a little bit of that with you. All right, in a minute we're going to play a video that shows a little bit of amalgamation between the speech that President Barack Obama gave at the National League of Cities and a little bit of a background story that LaunchCode so wonderfully shot in addition to it, and they spliced those both together to kind of tell the story.
Let me wrap up with just the example of one person, a woman named LaShana Lewis. Where's LaShana? She's here today.
For many, many years I've been coding, and one of the bit I ended up doing was getting kind of shoved into customer service for like 10 years. But let's roll back the clock.
Now, the reason LaShana's story is so relevant is LaShana grew up in East St. Louis.
I spent 18 years of my life there. I went to high school, and I approached the computer science teacher, and I said, I want to go and I want to learn how to program. And he said, okay, take a seat. He encouraged me. My mother and my family encouraged me, and I just decided to go into college as a computer science major. And I ended up having to leave. And it was kind of a very depressing part for me.
And because she didn't have a college degree, she couldn't even get an interview for a tech job, despite her coding skills. So she was working as a bus driver. She was working in entry-level jobs.
I never really fully got a chance to go into technology like I wanted to. So that's when I ended up going to LaunchCode, and the rest of it is history.
LaShana had the skills. LaunchCode went to bat for her. And today she's a system engineer at MasterCard.
It changed my life. I have an opportunity that I wouldn't think for years that I'd be able to get.
So we got to create more stories like LaShana's. And if we do, then we are going to more effectively capture what is the boundless energy and talent of Americans who, have the will, but sometimes need a little help clearing out the way.
I would describe LaunchCode as an opportunity to show yourself. I feel like LaunchCode actually took a look at me and my skills and saw what I can do and took me to the next level. All right, I'll add in that there's a little bit longer version of that speech online. You can always Google LaShana, since I have a pretty unique name, and LaunchCode or President Obama, and it should show you the entire video where he tells people that I'm a little stubborn. So that's kind of the funny part about this whole entire thing, is that it started because I basically didn't give up on a dream or on a vision. What you see there is a picture right after that speech where he shook President Obama's hand, and I'm standing with Jim McKelvey, who some people may know as co-founder of Square, the little dongle that you use to make payments using your mobile phone and a credit card swiper. And next to him is the LaunchCode executive director and also a co-founder of LaunchCode, Brendan Lind. What I want to do is kind of give a vision of exactly the type of place and the type of area that I'm from. This is a map of state of Missouri. All of the counties are there. I'm more so in the what's called the southeastern part, but literally if you look over directly to the right of that map, you'll see that there's two St. Louis's there, and we'll get to that in a minute. The population of the state is about 6 million. You've got most of the people are kind of concentrated into the city, as you would imagine with most states. And then you'll notice here, like I said, that there's two St. Louis's there, and you're saying, oh, wait a minute, that's got to be a typo. It's not. The way the St. Louis area is broken down is that there is this guy here, and we call that St. Louis County. It's also known as a county, and right next to it is St. Louis City County, and the population there is about 300,000, growing slightly. We're starting to get into the tech field and starting to be a tech hub, so we're looking at it increasing with lofts and more millennial type things are going on there. Now, the county, St. Louis County itself, is about 1 million, and most of that is suburbs. But it's kind of a little hard to fathom because I'm just giving these numbers out, and I'm a visual person, so I like to kind of actually see, what is the makeup of this area. So what I found was something called the racial dot map. You can actually find it on online right now through coopercenter.org. demographics racial dot map. It'll allow you to zoom into any city within the United States and take a look at it. And each dot there represents one person in the census. So as you see, you can kind of get an idea of where everyone's clumped together. Down the middle, you'll see kind of what looks like a Y, and that's the left edge of the Y all the way down. That is actually the Mississippi River. And it splits Missouri on the left-hand side from Illinois on the right-hand side. And I actually grew up in East St. Louis, Illinois, so over to the right-hand side. As you can see, it's a little sparse. The population is declining, understandably, because a lot of jobs and corporations left. But on the left-hand side, you see, St. Louis is booming. There are a lot of people there. But, again, I kind of wanted to distill this down and look a little bit further, and I came up with the color map, which is also available. And what it does is that for each dot, it actually represents them according to whatever race that person responded to on that census. And as you can see, on the left-hand side, you're seeing a lot of blue, and that represents people who selected white on their application as their race. At the top, green. There are little splotches of red. Those are people who are Asian. The yellow spots are Hispanic, which you're not going to see a lot of. More so brown is what's available here in this particular area of the map. So one thing I noticed is that if you look, it's almost like this clear divide. And being from East St. Louis, I was kind of like, well, what is that? Why is there this division here? I did a little research, and I found out that there's a theme within the St. Louis city, and again, this is what the city looks like. It's right here. The county is over to the left of that. There's an area called the Delmore Divide, and unfortunately to this day it still kind of exists, and it divides people not only ethnically but also opportunity-wise, because a lot of the companies and the opportunities within technology exist within the south to the west area of there. So if I'm coming from the east area and a lot of my experiences that shape my life and opportunities that shape me forward are available within my community, then I actually have to leave my community. So then that brought questions into my head of, if I'm sharing this knowledge with someone else that's in my scenario, what would I need to tell them? What are some basic steps that I would tell them that they would need to follow? Before we get there, I kind of wanted to show this map. It still kind of stings me a little. This actually is the area of Ferguson, Missouri, and I was kind of wondering where that young man was growing up and what his area looked like. And that's actually the area right there where he grew up. And whereas many people saw on the news that, he breathed his last breath. And something about that just kind of made me wonder, what more can we do to prevent something like this from happening again, happening frequently and continuing on? So again, let's go to those 4 questions. How do you get out? What do you do when you're out? Because you get out, but you're kind of like in Alice in Wonderland. You have no idea where you are. And then the other question that led to that is that, okay, how do you keep yourself from going back into an environment where you don't have that much opportunity? How do you stay out? And then once you're out there and once you've gotten yourself stable, how do you bring other people with you? So for me, these were the steps that I took. How did I get out? I decided to step outside of other people's comfort zones. I am one of the hugest nerds that I know. I love Back to the Future and Star Trek Next Generation. I am an avid supporter of the LGBT community. I'm a member of the LGBT community. And I love NASA and space, and actually over in the left-hand side where you see the red, white, and blue striped long sleeve, that's actually from the space station. So one of the things I did is I started to embrace who I was, that distinctly made me me, and didn't try to fit into someone else's mold. Now, when I was out, I wanted to look for people like me. I was told that there aren't any black lesbians out there, there aren't any women who are in coding, and as we all know, that's a big fat lie. I found and discovered LaunchCode, and LaunchCode actually led me to CoderGirl. And with this collective of women, I was able to feel like I had some sort of footing and actually a future out there. Now, once I got out and I found my people, I decided that, you know, okay, well, I need to invest in my future. I want to see how much I knew. And a little backstory on this, I actually decided that once I started working at MasterCard, I was hired as a server engineer, and I kind of wanted to know where I was within it, and I decided to go ahead and take what's called the CompTIA Server Plus certification, which is an industry standard, vendor neutral certification that says, you know, how well do you know your servers? Well, on a lark, they had a beta test because they were renewing their new exam, and they offered it for a very, very low discounted price. It was like $50, which if you ever go out and do certifications, you know they cost, a lot of times they cost way more than $50. And the cool thing is you got a chance to get some feedback, and you know, if you ended up getting the certification, great. They were slimming it down, so it's actually 250 more questions than the standard exam. And when I got home, I was surprised that a letter came in the mail and it said, "Congratulations, we slimmed down the questions and we vetted everything out, and you're certified." So even that little $50, you know, just to wonder, just to say, you know, let me see how much I actually know, paid off. And I wasn't going to do it because I told myself, you know, I'm getting hired into this position. I don't know what I'm doing. And how do I know that taking this test is even going to be worth my time? I did it, and now I don't regret making that step, and I tell other people to do it, even if you think the response is going to be negative or someone's going to say something negative about you doing it. Do it anyway. Now, once I'm out there and I've got myself established and I've found my people, what did I do? I tried to bring other people with me, and the best way that I could think of was talking, getting out there and telling my story, telling other people that there are women like me who are interested in coding, who are interested in engineering, that get overlooked, that people just kind of say, you know, that's great that you can do that, but are you really, really interested in it? And when I tell my story and when I get on stage and I talk about, you know, my life journey and what I've been through with being a kid and growing up, and not having access to those resources, and then being told even when I was interested in it that there aren't a lot of women, so you're not interested, there's not a lot of black people, so you're not interested, I just stayed stubborn, and I said, you know what, maybe there are people, and it took me, you know, 10 years, but now that I'm out, I've gone and I've done these speeches, and I've even talked to young women as young as teenagers who are in high school competitions, and they said, you know, thank you for saying that, because these things that are being said to you are being said to me, and now, you know, I see that there's someone out there that would help me, that would understand what I've been through. And just a little description up at the top, that's President Obama's nod, and MasterCard actually sent that out as one of their advertisements, because they're starting to embrace a system where they're going out and using actual employees in their advertisement And left was one of the LaunchCode speeches. I think it was our 1-year anniversary. At the bottom, that was me right after the National League of Cities. And behind, or in front of me, is a line of mayors who wanted to come to speak to me about bringing LaunchCode to their city. And over to the right is the Lesbians Who Tech Summit, which I discovered through a friend, and I went and I actually ended up giving a speech the very next summit due to what was a fabulous experience with going to the White House and being recognized. So again, let's recap. How do you get out? You step outside of other people's comfort zone. What do you do when you're out? Find people that are like you. And then how do you stay out when you're out of that environment? You invest in your own future. And how do you bring others with you? You go out and you share your story. And this slide deck has a couple of items that I popped in my head, and I said, you know, being brave means to me you got to think about what you want. And then once you think about what you want, you have to kind of get yourself prepared and gear up and be ready and raring to go forward with a vision that maybe someone else may not believe in, but you know, you wholeheartedly do. And then once you've got all your energy and your mojo going, you want to stay focused on your goal. With staying stubborn, I decided that I was going to have to go against the odds. There were going to be a lot of people out there telling me that I couldn't do things, that things were statistically not even in my favor. That's usually the perfect fodder for me, but I've seen other people who have been pushed back by that. And I said, you know, look, you've got to stick with it, even if people say that it's not really possible for you. That's standing up. That's saying to yourself, you know, look, I've got to do something. I don't want to be stuck in the same scenario. And then you got to keep going. Even when other people are telling you stop, you need to slow down, you need to focus somewhere else. If it's your passion, if it's something that you want, you need to go for it. Because to me, you've only got one life. That's a summary, but I'm going to give a little bit about growing up. And one of the things I dealt with as a very young child is my mother had cancer when I was 10. And one of the things she told me is, your life is short, Shauna. Your life is short. You only have one of these lives to live. And it's very important that you go out and do what you feel passionate about. And through talking, through LaunchCode, through pushing forward and being fervent about what I want to do, the obstacles I faced were tremendous at times. But when you have that resilience within you, you start to see that others will follow you and others will understand that to get to where their goal is it's going to take the perseverance. So within that, I was grateful to have the President of the United States call me stubborn, because if I wasn't, I probably wouldn't be where I am today. So thank you for spending a little bit past your lunch hour with me, and I'm open for questions. Kathy, I don't know if you want to do a wrap-up.
Shauna, thank you for presenting this. We can take questions if anybody on have any questions. One thing I would like for you to do is go back and on that one slide where you had the dots with the population, I couldn't see the website, and we're all data people, so I have a feeling that that would be useful. Anything with population, things like that, since we're data people, we like that sort of thing. Or at least a lot of us, you know, past members are data people, but I couldn't see the, so if anybody is interested in that, you can go ahead and get that website to kind of drill in and look at different things. you brought up a lot of really great points. All of us have in our lives things we want to do, and often those things are scary for whatever reason. Maybe somebody says you can't do that, or maybe the obstacles to getting there seem unsurmountable. It might be something little. For example, the very first time I ever took a certification test, which is now 20 years ago, but I had to travel from my little suburban town, Edwardsville, Illinois, and I had to get to St. Louis to take this test, downtown St. Louis, and that really, really scared me. I was like, how am I going to get there? I don't want to drive in the city. So I looked into public transportation. That scared me. So many things scared me, but I wanted to do it bad enough that I just did it. And of course, then I found out that traveling to the city wasn't quite as bad as I thought it would be. It was fine, and I passed that test. So, you know, I think all of us can relate. We may not have the same background that you do. You know, a lot of us on the call today are women. Some of us may be women of color, you know, other, you know, different things. But I think regardless of our background, there are many things that we can have in common with you, especially, you know, these obstacles. What is it that we want? How do we get there? I like to just break big goals down into smaller pieces and solve each little step at a time. And it sounds like that's part of what you did as well. I don't see any questions on here. Anybody has a question, you know, go ahead and type it in. Is there anything else that you would like to close with, LaShana?
I think everybody's probably rushing to the racial.map website.
Could be.
It's quite, I mean, it's quite introspective because you can go to any city within the U.S. and zoom in, and it gives you that the dot map, and then you can also change it to this the color one. Mm-hmm. But if anyone wants to tweet or talk to me, I'll show my information one more time. I'm really open and happy to accept LinkedIn requests and tweet follows. So that's all I've got. Thank you, Kathy, for putting this together. This is, like I said, my very first webinar, so I can now say that I've done one.
Yeah, and you did great. Okay, so I guess we'll go ahead and close it on up unless, I do see a question. I do. Uh-oh. Let's see. Congrats on your success. Thank you for sharing. So that was more, just wanted to say thank you for sharing your story. So a lot of congratulations and thanks for sharing your story, and I second that as well. Your story is very inspiring, and I'm so excited about LaunchCode. I mean, it's not just LaShana that's got a success story. There's lots of other people I've run into that for whatever reason, you know, could not get that interview. Maybe they had the skills, couldn't get the interview. So, and this program is spreading throughout the country. Right now it's in Kansas City, Miami, and Rhode Island, I believe.
Rhode Island.
Yeah, so it's spreading throughout the country. And if you hear about it starting in your area, look into being a mentor with the program. It's definitely worthwhile. So, okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead and close it up. And I will talk to you soon, and we'll get the video posted pretty soon.
Awesome. Thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
And thank you, everyone.
Okay. Thanks so much. Goodbye.